Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Today we are talking about my new favorite loadout. Act 2 launched earlier this week, and there were a lot of things that came with it. We got new weapons, new activities, but the biggest thing, at least to me, was the artifact mods. There were 5 new ones, and pretty much all of them are shaking up the meta, or at least solidifying it. I made a video last week talking about one mod in specific, that being Solar Fulmination, and how it's actually buffing some already really good abilities like Song of Flame. And now we're here after the launch of this mod, and yeah, it's pretty broken, as you can see from stuff like this, which we will be talking about in this video. But the other big mods that came out are, Sniper's Meditation and Incendiary Rifle rounds. These have had similarly large consequences. We've got more people soloing the Witness. The duo 1 phase looks possible. Outside of niche low man stuff, Still Hunt has become even better. Granted, it is getting that nerf in August, but for right now, it's probably the best gun Destiny has ever seen. And then outside of Still Hunt, these mods have allowed us to try out some new loadouts, or at least get a little bit of variety into what we've been playing with over the past month or so. So today we are talking about one of those new loadouts, one of my new favorites, and why I think you should give it a try. This is the loadout of Ikelos Sniper and Dragon's Breath. These two weapons in concert with the artifact will allow you to pump some damage, and the draw with this loadout is pretty simple. Both of these weapons are benefiting from the best artifact mods. Ikelos Sniper benefits from almost all of them. You've got Anti-Barrier Sniper, Incendiary Rifle rounds, Solar Fulmination, and Sniper's Meditation. And then moving down to our heavy, Dragon's Breath benefits from Solar Fulmination 2, while also synergizing with Ikelos itself, but more on that in a second. First, let's quickly break down these two pieces of loadout separately before talking about how well and how they pair together. So starting with our special weapon, the Ikelos Sniper Rifle, we have those 4 mods that I just listed. You've got Anti-Barrier, it's pretty self-explanatory, you can now pierce things. Of course, this is mainly meant for champions, but you can use it against Phalanx shields, Hive Knight shields, a whole bunch of stuff. There might even be some activity cheeses that come out, being able to shoot through walls. You know how good this mod is. But then moving into the more unique stuff, we have the Incendiary Rifle rounds mod, which this will give you 30 or plus 15 with Ember Ashes, Scorch stacks on every precision hit from any Solar Sniper. This means you're getting ignitions in just 3 or 4 hits. And also, I do want to emphasize that it's any sniper. Of course, it works with things like Still Hunt, other Solar Snipers that I can't think of, but the reason why I like it so much with Ikelos here is because it's a rapid fire frame. A faster firing weapon means ignitions faster. Pretty simple. And then the next mod, speaking of ignitions, is Solar Fulmination. This will increase the damage of our ignitions by 25% by adding an extra damage instance. It does this while also allowing for ignition chaining, which you've probably seen on Twitter and what I showed you at the beginning. But again, we'll go over that when we're talking about the full loadout, so stay tuned for that. And then the final mod here is Sniper's Meditation, which works on stacks, but it gives you 3% bonus damage and some reload per stack. This caps out at plus 15% damage. So you've got things like Still Hunt and Whisper hitting for some pretty ridiculous damage values, but even here on Ikelos, it's very beneficial. Then moving on from the sniper over onto Dragon's Breath, we have pretty much just one mod, that being Solar Fulmination, and then technically Incendiary Rifle rounds. Solar Fulmination is here once again for the 25% increase in ignition damage, which, that's half the reason we run Dragon's Breath in the first place, considering its whole gimmick is spawning ignitions and then reloading itself when those go off. However, when I said Incendiary Rifle rounds, it comes from the synergy with Ikelos. The synergy there comes from it being able to scorch thanks to that mod. So you can stick an enemy with Dragon's Breath and then swap over to Ikelos and speed up the ignition, which will reload Dragon's Breath, allowing you to repeat that process over and over. It's like the damage rotations or Dragon's Breath swaps that you're used to, just quicker and a little bit more intuitive, which makes it a little bit more lethal. But that's each piece of this loadout separate, kind of, we had the little synergy there at the end, but let's look at these two weapons in the scheme of the full loadout together. The whole thing is we're pretty much just looking for ignitions. In the B-roll that you've been seeing, I've gravitated to using this loadout for GM type content. And the way it plays is essentially you find a high health target and you blow it up repeatedly. Dragon's Breath starts the scorching and embeds a rocket. And then once you've done that, you swap over to Ikelos, and then Ikelos tops off the scorch by adding that whenever you get a precision hit, thanks to incendiary rifle rounds. Then that will cause a buffed ignition, thanks to solar fulmination, while also just dealing great damage on its own, thanks to sniper's meditation. And then while that whole process is going, you're reloading Dragon's Breath because of the ignitions. If you're using this against champs, which is what I was mostly using it for in the B-roll, as long as you can stun it, they're going to die. And because ignitions are AoE, you can kill multiple at once. And then on the topic of killing multiple things, we of course have ignition chaining, like in this clip, which boils down to a couple of things. First, you need to equip Ember of Char, which causes ignitions to apply Scorch. Then you got Ember of Ashes, which increases Scorch stacks. And then finally Solar Fulmination, which will turn our ignitions into 2 ignitions going off at the same time. It's a little weird to understand, but that mod essentially adds another invisible ignition that does less damage on top of the existing ignition. So this combo means that anything hit by an ignition gets an instant 120 scorch stacks and causes them to ignite. And then anything hit by that will do the same, so on and so forth for as long as there are alive enemies. Which means if you are using this in something like on-level content, you're not really gonna see the ignition chaining too much unless you've got spread out enemies that are just far away enough that they're getting the scorch stacks but not the full damage of the ignition. Regardless, what I'm trying to say is you're not gonna see it, but in things like GMs, like what you have been seeing, it happens quite a lot. And you can definitely rely on chain ignitions to clear rooms. But you could also take this into the expert battlegrounds when that comes out, which are essentially GMs. You can take it into lost sectors, master raids. If you deal less damage, you become more lethal thanks to solar fulmination and this quite frankly broken combo. But that is on solar. And I want to be clear that the main bulk of this video, the loadout that I'm talking about, Dragon's Breath with Ikelos Sniper, you don't need to be on solar. I'm calling it a loadout and not a build because all that matters is weapons and artifact bots. You can run this on Prismatic or any subclass and class for that matter, and Ikelos plus Dragon's Breath will still be causing tons of ignitions and outputting some fantastic damage. I'll be taking this, among other things, into the Salvation's Edge raid, so if you're curious about any type of DPS setup, whether it's for this combo that I'm talking about now, because I have really only taken it into GM stuff where it dominated, raid DPS is a different story. But if you're curious about that or anything else, let me know and I'll probably check it out and report back to you guys. But I sincerely want to recommend that you guys try this out, especially in the GM this week. It's perfect for ignition chaining if you're on solar, and if you're not going for that, the explosions are enough to just decimate every champion the game throws your way. And honestly, if you do try out this loadout, I think you're gonna have a ton of fun. Let me know if you've maybe already used it, or if you do use it, tell me how it felt. But I think that is everything I wanted to say. And I wanna thank you for watching this far. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. I'm on the way to 9,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support you've been showing me. If you wanna support me, support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription goes a long way, helps me get out into the algorithm. But if you wanna support me, support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below, artifact, just because it's kind of the main basis of this video. But with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around. Okay, that's 3 for 3 GMs where I've missed this fucking...
Bro died to a room of only Shanks.
Oh my
Bro's
god,
died to a room of only Shanks.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
That's a lot of smack you're talking over there, kid. That's scary.
I'm leaving that in the video.